So this is lesson 10.2, B as in boy, intermediate algebra, continuing on with the quadratic formula here. So if you remember, it's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, let's look at example 3. Alright, okay, we hate fractions, don't we? So what we're going to do is we're going to find the common denominator. The common denominator, when you're dealing with variables and numbers, is just the product or the multiplication of everything in the denominator. So the common denominator is really 3x times x plus 2. So it's all three of these multiplied together. Okay, so that's actually times 1 over x plus 2 minus 1 over x equals 1/3. Okay, so let's distribute that. So let's take, come on, let's move, little buddy. Okay, so we're going to take that and distribute it all the way across. So 3x Okay, so I distributed it all the way across. Now I'm going to cancel. Alright, so that cancels with that, leaving me with 3x. That cancels with that, leaving me 3 times x plus 2. And that cancels with that, leaving me x times x plus 2. So 3x minus 3x minus 6 equals x squared plus 2x. Alright, now we have to get it in the right format. So let's bring all of this over here. Okay. Now let's combine everything. We can take all of this here. And then I'm just going to change all of the signs so that the number in front of my x is actually positive. Okay, so there's what I've got to use my quadratic formula for. Okay. So x equals negative, my b is 2, plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times my a, which is 1, times my c, over 2 times 1. Alright, so it gets to be, so it's not too terribly difficult. Now there will be some down the road that get a little bit harder. Well, actually they get a lot harder. If I'm going to be honest with you. Wouldn't want me to lie to you, would you? Four minus 24 is negative 20. That negative sign can't be there, right? So we pull it out and call it I. Okay? Now we're going to have to find the square root of 20. The square root of 20 is actually 2 squared times 5. And we can pull that 2 out. So it's actually 2 square root of 5. So I'm going to erase that and put a 2 square root of 5 in there and an I. In fact, I'm going to switch these around. Put my number first. Okay. So that doesn't look too bad yet. Alright, keep moving stuff up. Alright, let's do this in red. We're going to split our fraction up. Because that can reduce. 2 over 2 is 1. and you end up with that for an answer. Alright, let's look at example 4. 27t cubed minus 8 equals 0. So if you remember way back in the olden days, section 5.5, page 308, you had the sum or difference of two cubes. Now remember, a sum or difference of two cubes means that we can take the cubed root of this and the cubed root of that, and there's a minus sign. So the cubed root of that, are we sure we can take that? Well, 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, so 3 is the cubed root of 27. The cubed root of t cubed is t, and the cubed root of 8 is 2. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, so it's the cubed root. So that works, so we're happy. So then we can use the formula there in the middle of page 308, where it says a cubed plus b cubed and a cubed minus b cubed. We're going to use the a cubed minus b cubed. And that leaves us for an answer a minus b times, we square the first term meaning this one, we add 6t, which means we multiply the first term times the second term, plus square that one. Okay? So we end up with 3t minus 2 times 9t squared plus 6t plus 4. Thing is, it says it's equal to 0, so we can actually solve this. This is simplified as much as it can go, so it's not going to do anything. So we'll just put a box around it to know to come back to that. But what we've got to do is we're going to have to use quadratic formula to solve this one. Okay? So, let's go ahead and do that. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So x equals, where's my b? Right there, 6. Negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 9 times 4 all over 2 times 9. This gets to be long, doesn't it? Alright, so again, we do what's inside the radical first. 36 minus 9 times 4 is 36 times 4, 4, 2, 14, 144 over 18. 144 minus 36. 8, 1. Okay, one's looking pretty good so far, right? Now, oh, I'm sorry, that's a minus sign in there, isn't it? Okay, so let's pull out the I before we do anything. Alright, so now remember what we've got to do? We need to look at, we know that because that 108 under the radical sign is even, we're probably going to be able to reduce that. So, oh goodness, 108 reduced is 36 times 3. The square root of 36 is 6, so 6 square root of 3 is the same as the 108. Okay, so you see what happened there? I got 6 square root of 3 for 108, and I put 6 square root of 3, and I just put the I there. Now I'm going to split them up. Okay, so this is going to be, what, negative 3/9, negative 1/3, plus or minus 6 over 18 is 1/3. Okay, 1/3. You could put the 1 there if you wanted, I just don't. Now we're going to put them together again, because now that they're reduced, we can put them together as negative 1 plus or minus I square root of 3 all over 3. And that's our answer. Okay, last one, example 5. If an object is thrown down with an initial velocity of 20 feet per second, the distance st in feet it travels in t seconds is given by the function r. All I care about is this formula. So there's my formula, 20t plus 16t squared. So what we're looking for is how long does it take the object to fall 40 feet. Okay, so this is the speed, or according to time, that we're going to be looking at. So that's going to be our 40 feet equals 20t plus 16t squared. Okay, so the formula they gave us and all that information was just to come up with this formula here, and then they're going to say, well, let's put 40 in there for st. Now I'm going to rewrite it and rearrange things. So I'm going to bring this over here. Okay, now I'm going to put this over here instead. Now I'm going to rearrange. Okay. Now if you like, you can do this with this. You can use the quadratic formula with that. But I prefer to factor out a 4, because I can take a 4 out of here and I'm left with 4t squared plus 5t minus 10 equals 0. I prefer doing the quadratic formula with that rather than that bigger number there. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got 3 minutes left. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So x equals negative 5 plus or minus square root of 5 squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 plus 160 all over 8. I'm quick like a chicken, huh? Is negative 5 plus or minus 160 and 25, the square root of 185 all over 8. Okay. Square root of 185 cannot be reduced. 5 cannot be reduced with 8, so there's no sense in splitting it up to negative 5 over 8 plus or minus the square root of 185 over 8 and try to reduce. So that ends up being my answer. So that's it for example number 5. That's it for 10.2b.